Is your cat getting the best of you, or so it seems? Not doing what they're told, not doing something you know they've learned and now fully understand? If your pet is being disobedient when they certainly know better, chances are there are some underlying issues at play here. Especially if your cat's foul behavior has seemed to appear out of nowhere. Is your cat sick, bored, anxious, unhappy with their current environment? Unlike humans, cats don't engage in the "I'll show you" form of disobedience. While it could seem that your cat is attempting to pull a fast one on you, that's not the reality. It's not about getting even with you, it's often about something more personal that has impacted their way of life. In this material, I'll talk about some notable acts of what could be described as bad or disobedient behavior and what it could mean. Cats rarely do anything, good or bad, without a reason. If your pet has been acting a bit unruly, I've got you covered. Stay tuned. I'll kick things off with a common act of disobedience, and that involves negative litter box practices. Failure to cover waste, failure to even make an attempt, kicking litter all over the place, outside of the box, and the big one, failure to use the litter box at all. These acts of disobedience are obvious and quite annoying and very frustrating, especially that last one for some very obvious reasons. The motives for poor litter box behaviors, especially if it's sudden, could be wide ranging. Poor litter box conditions, lack of clean litter and clean space, stress, anxiety, illness, all very important, all worthy of investigating. Working under the notion that your cat is in good health, your pet's disobedience is likely an act of protest or some degree of attention seeking as a means to express displeasure over something else. And while it could feel like you are searching for a needle in a haystack, it's going to be your job to find the core reason for your pet's displeasure. In many cases, disobedience, especially when a cat certainly knows better, is done to draw consideration elsewhere. As an owner, take in the big picture, be mindful of your cat's overall behavior. Poor bathroom manners can sometimes point to issues that have nothing to do with the litter box at all. Are you currently dealing with an aggressive pet? Seemingly out of the blue, has your cat turned a bit nasty? This leads us to our next notable sign of disobedience, and that is clawing and biting and fighting. If your trusting and loving cat now wants to fight at most every turn, this could point to some degree of fear and anger that has perhaps nothing to do with you at all. Because while lethargy is often a common sign of physical illness, some cats engage in a different act to express their discomfort. They become combative. Your cat's desire to bite and scratch you could be out of pain and frustration, and perhaps the simple desire to be left alone. Keeping with the topic of disobedience, it's worth driving home once again the context within this subject matter. The angle is cats that frankly know better. This is not to be confused with brand new cats in the home who are in the process of getting used to you, the rest of your family, and your environment. If your cat, the one who wouldn't hurt a fly normally, is now attempting to do battle with you, that's a major, major red flag. Be proactive in your stance and seek professional care if your cat's behavior hasn't changed within, say, a few days. Aggressive felines often require different care because they're not only behaving in a disobedient fashion, but they are directly harming you, and that could also impact your children. As we all know, scratching and clawing can take on many different forms, and one of those forms is the destruction of property. Your sofa, your shoes, anything those claws can manipulate. If your pet is now seemingly making it a priority to destroy things, it's important to act fast. Before attempting to get to the bottom of the reasons for this behavior, it's important to deflect these outbursts to an object that won't harm your belongings. Scratching post, ASAP. By providing your cat another option, there's a respectable chance that your pet will slowly but surely leave your things alone. Now, here again, we're talking about the acts of sudden disobedience. Some investigative work certainly needs to be done here. So, do your very best to make sure that your cat is not masking a health issue. And do your very best to make sure that your cat is not acting out as a means to protest a change within the environment, a change within your home. Is something throwing off the routine of the day? Check everything. In most cases, if a health issue is not the primary cause, Felines are acting out as a way to garner attention. That's the common bet, if you will. If your cat is acting out, they're doing it for a reason. If the behavior is now the new normal, you can guarantee they're doing this for a reason. Here on the channel, I often compare cats and kids. Felines and small children, they're a lot alike, especially when it comes to attention seeking, protest style behaviors, and tantrums. When something changes, when a child doesn't get the toy they want, let's say, when the mood turns sour, some children will throw a fit, either in public or in private, as a means to not only express their displeasure, but to hopefully get their way. As a cat owner, keep that little nugget, that little example in your back pocket. In the same way that a kid will cry and plead in an effort to get some candy, some cats will act out, going completely against their normal behavior in an attempt to get your attention and express their displeasure. Of course, the trick is understanding the meaning behind it all. If you've owned your cat for a while, potentially years, you've got a bit of a leg up, let's say, when it comes to the big picture. You know your cat's baseline personality, you know their tendencies. In some cases, it can be easy to understand those cries for help and acts of disobedience, as they could become familiar and fall in line with certain trends. As an example, if your cat acts out in a specific way when they want a certain thing, over time you can connect those dots. Even if your cat is the face of model behavior, just know that every cat will have a wild hair every now and again. No cat is immune to having a bad day, just like no person is, and even the sweetest of the sweet will act a bit unruly from time to time. Your job, well, it's all about getting to the bottom of things. And hey, it could take some time. It can take some time. Being a cat owner is an adventure, and learning and understanding every day is a new education. Once you think you've seen it all, something brand new comes along. And speaking of education, I'll close things out with this one. It's important, very important, to separate misbehavior and disobedience from natural instincts. Cats, they're going to act a certain way and have a certain baseline simply because they're cats. And frankly, there's really only so much that you can do to reel them in on that front of things. That's why it's important to separate feline instincts from breaking your house rules. Acting up, as they say. More often than not, cats really aren't misbehaving, they're just doing things that we wouldn't do. That line of understanding can be very tricky at times. This is where that education and experience comes into play. As time goes along, you'll be able to see when your cat is just being a cat and when they are deliberately attempting to stir up trouble. To the audience of Senior Cat Wellness, basic topic, at least on the surface, but wow, it's a mighty complex one once you attempt to get into the weeds just a bit. The disobedient feline. Do you have a story to share? Has your calm, cool, and collected pet ever just gone off the rails? Was there a deeper issue at play? Has your cat ever acted in protest? Your stories, your commentary, the comment section is all yours. And if you enjoyed this content, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you as a member of the Senior Cat Wellness family. And until next time, thank you so very much for watching. And as always, I will talk to you later.